All right. I hope that recording is on. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Welcome, fellow champions of the English language. Whether you are learning English or teaching English, you are all in the right place. So let's dive into this great session. So my name is Dr. Elena Tanchik, and I will be moderating today's session. But our superstar is already here. So please, I'm excited to introduce our speaker and help me welcome Ayako Hiasa. She is our PhD candidate in Linguistics and Applied Linguistics program at Arizona State University with the English department. So she is going to present on multilingual American teachers in Japanese public schools, analysis from a translingual identity as pedagogy perspective. And you will hear from her shortly. But before I hand it over to her, to our guest speaker, so just a couple of words about AZTESOL and its key points. So you can see on the slide, so we reflect Arizona's unique multicultural landscape where educators from diverse backgrounds come together to support each other linguistically and culturally, and also to work with diverse students. So in short, our mission is to elevate excellence in English teaching across Arizona by supporting educators and advocates through development, research, and collaboration for all learners, for all diverse learners. And our vision is a future where every English language learner in Arizona have access to high quality education, to culturally responsive education that empowers them to achieve academic success and civic participation. And on the slide, you can also see our core values. So those values include educational equity, cultural and linguistic diversity, and professional growth. We serve ESL teachers, administrators, teacher candidates, and community partners. So we try to embrace and include diverse population as our mission and goal is about diverse learners. So our professional development opportunities include our annual conference, and I will share more information at the end, regional workshops, and online learning. And with AZTESOL membership, you gain networking, exclusive resources, advocacy, and of course, recognition. All right, so now I'm going to give the floor to Ayaka. And Ayaka, thank you very much for graciously agreeing to have this webinar with us. So everyone, feel free to ask questions throughout in the chat, but we will allocate enough time at the end for your questions, okay? But if you have questions and you write them in the chat, I'm sure Ayako or I will pick up and will try to answer them ongoingly. Okay, so after the talk, please fill out the feedback form, and I will have the slide with this form. Okay, and this will ensure that you will have your certificate of participation, but don't rush to do it right now, so you will have enough time at the end. Okay, so Ayako, I'm going to zip my lips, and the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Paulina, for the wonderful introduction. So generous. And let me share screen first. There you go. So, but before I begin my am I sharing screen okay? Can you see it?
Yes, we can hear you well, and we can see your screen.
That's great. Thank you. So, but before I start my presentation, I really want to show my appreciation for this opportunity and for AZTESOL team for putting this together. And as Alina introduced, my name is Ayako Hiasa, and I am a PhD candidate at Arizona State University. And today I will be presenting on how to American multilingual English teachers utilize their translingual identity as pedagogy in Japanese English classroom. And this presentation will explore the nuanced ways in which these teachers communicated their identities as multilingual speakers in the classroom. And this approach examines how their personal linguistic histories and cultural backgrounds informed their instructional practices. No. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Go. And this is today's agenda. So I originally prepared this as a 30-minute research presentation, but because I was given this opportunity to present my work as part of the professional development series, I would like to allocate a second half of today's talk on mini workshopping. And in the first half of today's session, I will share a part of the research findings of the study I conducted as part of my dissertation project. The latter half will invite the audience to reflect on your own translingual identity and consider how it might inform your pedagogical approaches in your classroom. But before we move on, let me talk just a little bit about myself. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Arizona State University, but I consider myself more as a pracademia or practitioner/researcher than solely a TESOL scholar. I'm also an international graduate assistant, teaching mostly first-year composition courses at ASU, and I'm a former EFL teacher as well as a former EFL learner. My professional identity is deeply intertwined with my experience as a multilingual individual, having navigated academic and professional spaces in both Japanese and US contexts, which profoundly influences my pedagogical approach. And today's talk is about assistant language teachers in Japanese public schools. Although it was 25 years ago, I still remember the day my grade 8 ALT, Mr. Scott from the US, came to my English class. And growing up in a suburb of Japan, it was the very first time I met an American person. At that time, I never imagined myself presenting on the topic of ALTs 25 years later, but I believe my experience as a scholar, former teacher, EFL teacher, and a student, having enjoyed a team-taught class between Mr. Scott and my Japanese English teacher, somehow all came together in this dissertation study. Let me move on to research presentation part. And to contextualize the study of American multilingual English teachers, let me talk a little bit about backstory of this project. The primary goal of my dissertation project is to explore the diversification of language teacher population in Japanese public schools, especially the increasing presence of Filipino teachers, many of whom speak English as an additional language within their multilingual repertoires, and their unique contributions to English language teaching. To explore Filipino teachers' experiences, I conducted a case study at Minato Town, where 3 nationality groups of teachers, Filipino, American, and Japanese teachers, were teaching English in public school. But soon I realized my bias and assumption that I imposed on my research participants based on their nationality and language background. As I worked on this project and started collecting data, I became aware how I juxtaposed Filipino ALTs and American ALTs as multilingual versus monolingual English speakers. I had assigned monolingual status to American teachers simply because they're from US and ignored their rich language repertoires beyond simply being English speakers. And this is part of the survey responses of the 4 American English teachers from the study I conducted. And as you can see, they are not monolingual English speakers. However, it seems like I'm not the only one to have fallen into this wrong assumption. For example, Lee and Kanagaraja critically point out teacher identity research has implicitly normalized assumptions towards teachers' ethnic identity in relation to the native English speaker versus non-native English speaker labels. And there is an abundance of study on NSs or non-native English-speaking teachers and how they communicate their identities. But the experience of native English-speaking teachers with multilingual identities are often overlooked in scholarly discourse, and this is precisely the gap this study aims to fill. And today's research participants are ALTs, or assistant language teachers in Japanese middle schools. ALTs serve as English language experts and team teach English classes with locally licensed Japanese teachers of English or someone like me. And to promote international understanding, this project started in the late 1980s and has 40 years of history now. As for the teacher population, the dominance of native English speakers from countries like US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand has historically been a prominent feature. But recently, the diversification of ALT's cultural and linguistic backgrounds has been observed, and a large-scale study by Sophia University indicated that 1 in 5 ALTs speak English as an additional language. And this study adopted translingual identity as pedagogy as a conceptual framework. And teacher identity and its classroom implications have been explored extensively in the last 30 years. And based on Cummins' conceptualization of classroom as a site of identity negotiation, Morgan theorized how teacher identity and identity performance in front of the students create pedagogical meaning, terming the teacher identity as pedagogy. Building on Morgan, Motha et al. Paid particular attention to teachers' linguistic identities, coining the term translinguistic identities as pedagogies, and discussed that teachers' views towards their own multilingual identities create pedagogical meaning, and teachers' experiences, beliefs, and attitudes towards the multilingual reality of the world and how they understand it in relation to their own teaching can be used as a pedagogical resource. Scholars interested in exploring language teachers' translingual identity and its classroom implications have extended the concept of translinguistic identity as pedagogy by grounding it more explicitly in the scholarship on the pedagogical application of translanguaging, calling it translingual identity as pedagogy. That views multilingual speakers' language practices as fluid, integrated entities rather than a collection of distinct languages. And there are some studies that have explored native English-speaking teachers' translingual identity as pedagogy, and those studies investigated how multilingual identities developed through experiences living abroad while learning additional languages influenced their pedagogical decisions and classroom practices. Another important conceptual framework guiding this study is GELT, or Global English's Language Teaching. GELT is a holistic paradigm informed by World English's ELF studies, TALE, these paradigms that situate ELT within a multilingual perspective. The GELT agenda, therefore, seeks to move English teaching beyond native speaker norms by valuing linguistic diversity, multilingual identities, and effective global communication. And to this end, the Guild framework has reconceptualized traditional ELT. In this slide, I included two aspects most closely related to this study. In Guild paradigm, ideal teachers are qualified, competent teachers, both same and different L1s, regardless of speaker status or whether being a native or non-native English speakers, meaning that teachers with any linguistic background can be effective educators. Orientation in translingual, multilingual, orientation is translingual and multilingual, meaning that the teaching goal is not to have students internalize monolingual English speaker norms, but rather to develop their English language skills as part of learners' translingual and multilingual repertoires. And the research question explored in this study is how do the American ALTs in Minato Town perform their linguistic identity in the context of teaching English to Japanese students? To answer this research question, I conducted a qualitative multi-case study involving analysis of interview transcripts, survey, professional development meetings, observations, classroom observations, and school blog analysis, and the data was thematically analyzed. The research site is Minato Town, which is located in the rural area of Japan. The town is not nationally known for its cultural heritage sites, but as is the case with small-sized municipalities in Japan, it is experiencing population decline. The Minato Local Board of Education put emphasis on English education as it is exemplified in their educational slogan, a town that nurtures global talents. 18 ALTs teach at 12 public schools in Minato, including 4 American ALTs hired through JET program. In today's presentation, I will show the findings of Ethan and Jesse's case. Both of them completed a survey, 2-stage semi-structured interviews, and I also conducted a classroom observation for each. For Ethan, because he occasionally wrote a school blog, his entries were also analyzed. Additionally, to contextualize their experience, interviews with co-working JTEs, Japanese teachers of English, were analyzed. So, Ethan is a 26-year-old white male American. He was born and grew up in a monolingual household in a mountain west state. He initially became interested in Japan through pop culture, like Japanese video games and anime. He majored in English literature in college, but took some courses in Japanese studies, where he met a Japanese Fulbright scholar who introduced him to the JET program. Other than the training he received as the JET participant, he completed a 40-hour TOEFL certificate. He passed N1, or the highest level of Japanese proficiency test. So JLPT is a standardized test, so it's maybe something like TOEFL or IELTS to measure learners' Japanese ability. This information was taken from their official site, but N1 is equivalent to CFL C1 or B2 level. At the time of study, he had more than 3 years of teaching experience in Japanese public schools as an ALT, and his Japanese colleagues consistently praised his teaching expertise, his ability to work collaboratively with students and teachers, and his exceptional work ethic. And Jessie, another participant, she's an Asian female ALT who was 25 years old at the time of the data collection. Although she used English dominantly for family communication, She was born in a Pacific island in the US and grew up in a multilingual and multicultural household. Her grandmother was a Japanese immigrant, and due to this family tie, she had always been interested in Japanese culture. In addition, she participated in homestay program in high school, which further strengthened her interest in experiencing Japanese life. She majored in linguistics, minored in Japanese, and teaching ESL. Her self-perceived Japanese proficiency is proficient in speaking, but basic in writing with limited kanji knowledge. It was her first year teaching English in Japan, and she had taught English in Japan for 6 months at the time of study. Now we move on to the findings section. So this is the analysis I made on Ethan's case. So 2 bilingual teachers is a comment from my observation note, followed by a small English skit between Japanese teacher of English and Ethan. The main activity of the class I observed was to make sentences introducing Japanese culture using the passive voice. As students worked individually on making sentences, Ethan and his partner, Japanese teachers of English, circled around the class, checking in with the students individually. In giving feedback, Ethan utilized both English and Japanese and combination of both, tailored to the students' proficiency levels and individual learning needs, including motivation towards learning English. Some of you may have experienced teaching in EFL context, and there are always just a few students who really hate English or just close their minds the moment they hear English. But to counteract this, Ethan strategically employed Japanese as a facilitative tool, often translating complex grammatical explanations or providing encouragement, and fostered a more inclusive and less intimidating learning environment for those reluctant learners.
Ayako, before we go to the next slide, just quickly wanted to pop up. So you had brought up a wonderful question, right, to our audience. So if you guys have ever taught ESL, EFL, whatever you call it, so write us in the chat. Have you ever experienced students like Ayako has just described, someone who will have different opinions about English and how you coped with that? So while you're listening to Ayako's presentation, so feel free to write in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ayako, for this amazing question. So I'm now, also thinking about my learners. Great.
Yeah,
and we
that's
have
great.
really
That's great.
international.
That's really something that I like about presenting my work here. So teachers from various diverse, teaching experience now,
And we
reflect
have
on
very
their own.
international audience here. I'm
Right,
sure we have a lot of
exactly.
experience across the globe, we as this community. Thank you, Ayako, for this question.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how this study kind of resonates with your own teaching experience. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so here's another slide about Ethan. So this is another example of his translingual strategy. And this is a school blog entry describing the day's English class written by Ethan. And as you can see, this is written in English, simple English, with key grammar terms in Japanese. Meireibun, or it means the imperative sentence. The school blog's audience, typically students and their parents, are not necessarily used to reading English blogs. But by employing this translingual approach, Ethan effectively communicated with his stakeholders. In the interview, he reflected how his experience of studying Japanese and familiarity with grammar terms allowed him to broaden his teaching approach. In addition, his ability to speak Japanese is essential to build rapport with students, especially those who are not interested in English. And this is an analysis of Jesse's experience compared to Ethan, who actively spoke Japanese in the classroom. Jesse did not take this approach. When students spoke Japanese to her, she replied in English. Although incorporation of Japanese is not her main strategy, she believed in the teaching approach that situated ELT within a multilingual perspective and treating English as one of many foreign languages around the world. And she often enjoyed talking about foreign culture with her students, including those not from the US. By doing so, she embodied herself as a multilingual communicator. And in the interview, she also talked about one Filipina student who recently transferred to the school. She spoke Tagalog and English as a second language with a developing proficiency in Japanese. And Jessie assisted her as a transnational near-peer coach. And Jessie's parent was an immigrant from the Philippines, and Filipino tradition and food were part of her life growing up. She talked about these with her, and she also joined some classes other than English. In her words, I joined arts and crafts class and math class. I did not really teach anything, but I just enjoyed making stuff with students. As for math, I have no idea what was going on, but I was just confused with the students. So Jessie communicated her translingual transnational identity and experience to the students who is in the process of developing Japanese language skills. In doing this, her experience as multilingual individual resonated deeply and created unique affordances for fostering a sense of belonging within the classroom. And in discussion, I would like to connect the research findings to how they respond to the guilt framework. The guilt framework states that guilt teachers are qualified and competent teachers, both same and different L1s. They are good teachers not because they are native English-speaking teachers, but because they are qualified and competent enough to facilitate meaningful learning experiences while situating ELT within the multilingual aspect. As JET participants, both Ethan and Jesse received training tailored to meet the particular needs of local Japanese students. And they also took certificate course related to TESOL. As for competence, they possessed their multilingual repertoires and experiences related to them, and they also had a strong willingness and ability to navigate transcultural space and understanding of local culture, including classroom culture and Japanese work culture. So these elements organically created a nuanced pedagogical approach that goes beyond traditional monolingual norm-based ELT.
Ayako, before we proceed with the conclusion, which is one of the most important parts of the research, right? We have a couple of questions in the chat. Do you want to take them now? So I think it will help for participants to understand the conclusions better.
Yeah,
is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I can help you, and I will read two questions from Dr. Akiva Rubinstein. Is the Filipino a teacher assistant or a student? Can you please remind us?
Is the Filipina teacher assistant or student? Oh, sorry, the Filipina is a middle school student.
Student. And can you conceptualize qualified, competent?
Oh, yes. So I think this responds to, one of the reasons why I connected, sorry, now you can see that I'm not really used to giving a presentation on Zoom.
No worries, no worries. We can still perfectly see your screen.
Yeah, I
presentation.
hope that this slide somehow answers your question. So the one of the reason why I decided to, connect my research findings to Guild framework is that Guild framework says, oh, teachers have to be qualified and competent, but they don't really, uh, unpack it. So, but like looking at my research participants' experience, I really see that they're, like, uh, sorry, I'm just going back and forth. I just want to see the question again. Oh, yeah. But looking at their teaching approach, I really see that they're qualified, competent guild teachers, but I just wanted to know what makes them qualified, competent. So that's the reason why I plotted their qualification as the someone who went through the training to teach this teacher student population, as well as the competence they nurtured through their experience of being like growing up in multilingual household, or even like someone like Ethan, who grew up in a monolingual household because of his interest in Japanese culture. So most of his life he self-taught Japanese and took Japanese cultural courses in college, and those investment they made throughout their life period gave them the competence, which further led them to be guild teachers. I hope this clarifies your question.
Thank you, Ayaka. And we will have some time for discussion and for further clarifications and comments and suggestions for the research. Thank you, Ayako. I think we can continue and go to conclusions.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So, but just final remarks before I conclude. But there's some, limitation and or like slash nature of this study, because due to the availability of the research site, this study did not take a longitudinal approach, and the engagement with the participants was limited. Also, the participants were recruited through the local board of education, and the data collection was conducted during their work hours. Therefore, this elicitation method may have influenced how they narrated their stories. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put this into a presentation mode. But despite these limitations, the findings would add rich contribution to the teacher identity studies that move beyond a binary understanding of teachers' linguistic identities. As for future research directions, as Japanese teachers of English, they often serve as a gatekeeper slash opener to multilingual ALT's linguistic resources. But the research could explore how JTE's perception of um, multilinguality or multilingualism of among native English speaker teachers would give us a insight to explore this teacher population and how they strategically use their translingual identity as pedagogy in their classroom. Okay. So this takes us to the end of the presentation, and thanks again for being here, coming to my session, and or like watching this on YouTube. But if you have any questions or like comments.
All right. So yeah, so feel free either to unmute yourself or write in the chat. And yeah, so we already have more questions. Please.
Yeah, Dr. Rubinstein.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry. I was confused there because there are two guilds, and I was like, which guild applies here? That's what I was a little confused, because there one is that refers to guilt is guided experiential learning and teaching, and the other guilt is general employability, literacy, and training, or transferable skills. So I wasn't sure which one is the one that you use. That's the reason why I was a little confused. I'm sorry. Is this your first dissertation?
Oh yeah, this is my first dissertation.
Congratulations.
And I'm not sure if
Good
I'm
job.
gonna do the second
Good job.
presentation,
So I don't know.
dissertation.
When I write dissertations, this is I completed three, and I will make sure that when I conceptualize, I explain which type of guilt is that I'm using. That's the only um, clarification, maybe, that it was a little confusing to me, but then later on it became clear. But at the beginning, it wasn't too clear. So, but you've done a great job, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。Okay, so
Thank you for the comments and questions. Yeah, and it's very important for the research. And Ayako, you will jot down so all the comments. Okay, so it's never too late to to tweak a little bit the research. And I know that you have prepared something else for us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so
She always has something up her sleeve. So please.
Okay, so because I was given this opportunity to present my work as part of the professional development series, so now I would like to do a little workshop based on these findings. So please let's take just a few moments, maybe like 5 minutes or so, and please reflect on like big or small like language moments in your life that have become critical moments, maybe in retrospect, in the development of your language teacher identity. And how do you see the connection to your teaching? For example, for Jessie, like traveling or like homestay experience, as well as her family tied to Japan, planted the seeds for her to, be interested in Japanese language, Japanese culture. Or for Ethan, like playing Nintendo as a little boy, it was a really real like kind of starting point for his journey, like teaching English in Japan. But like if you could like reflect on like big or small those language moments in your life, that'd be great. And maybe after 5 minutes, if it's not too much, I'd like invite the audience to share some.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And for those who are going to watch us later, I'm sure there will be people who are interested in this research but couldn't make it to the live event. So you can also stop, pause the video, reflect, think about it, and maybe even write in the comments on YouTube.
That'd be great. Yeah, thanks. But because today we have small audience, maybe we can just unmute ourselves and share some stories if we have about this.
Is it open microphone or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Is I speak 10 languages, and something that I realize is every time I go overseas and I find an U.S. born U.S. citizen teaching English, but they don't even have a degree, but just the fact that they were born here, they have this idea they're qualified to teach because they're native speakers. But in actuality, is they have zero pedagogical studies or formation, and that makes it the fact that you're a native speaker doesn't make you a good teacher, and the fact that you have a degree doesn't make you a good teacher either, right? Like you said in your presentation, if we use the guilt one, one of the important things is that how can I, when my teaching, can it transfer to a to the real world? Is because guilt implies active engagement, reflection, and application. Can my students apply what they're learning? So, um, like you said, but because in the qualified section, you said that as long as they were part of JET or they took some TESOL courses, they were considered qualified. Am I correct there?
Not as long as, but these are training, or
Okay.
like their investment in training.
Okay.
It's part of the, part of the elements that make them qualified. Like as you mentioned, there are many native speakers, and not, I wouldn't say many, but there are some native speaking speaker teachers who do not have teaching related degree but still teach. They still get teaching job simply because they're native speakers.
Yeah, but I think that the successful and qualified, well-qualified teacher is, in my opinion, I might be wrong. You guys, please feel free to correct me if I am. Is the one that has this ability of transferability. What is that? The ability of turning a paper into applicable, livable, real life
Mhm.
situations. That makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
It doesn't just remain within a frame of
Mhm.
theoretical framework, but into real life applications. Because
Yeah, I do
most of the
agree.
textbooks that I found overseas is they're nice, that's good, but most of that English is actually not usable in the US. I mean, doesn't connect to reality here. Probably when you study English in Japan and then you came here, you felt a little, I don't know, maybe you can share your experience, but the vocabulary that you learn, the syntax that you learn, they were a little bit different than the one that people actually use here. So I believe that a good teacher is a qualified teacher is not just someone with a degree or a certificate, but someone who has this particular skill of
Mhm.
transferability.
Yeah,
And
thanks for sharing that.
that's
Yeah,
just
I do agree with the, those qualified teachers are not just, those who have like TESOL knowledge, but have the ability to translate those knowledge into like
yes.
actual
And what is
classroom
your
application.
hypothesis for your dissertation, your thesis?
Oh, this is a qualitative case study, so that I did not begin with a hypothesis, but a research question. It's like
A
it has a
research
like
question. And what is your research question again? I'm sorry, if you can
for,
refresh my memory. I'm
for
all okay.
I myself forgot my research question, so let me go back to the slides. Here we go. So for this particular one, is that I'm gonna share this in the Zoom chat.
Maybe I can be a soundboard to you. you know. How do
Yeah.
the American language teachers in Minato town perform? Sorry, let me read that again. Yeah, perform the linguistic identity
So
in the context.
it's exploratory or like descriptive in nature.
All right, that okay. It's pretty extensive research
Yeah.
question. So, so Morgan is your framework to Morgan to help.
Uh,
You
I would
use Morgan.
say Mosa et al. This
Morgan is
translation.
great. Please don't get me wrong. It's one
Yeah,
of the
I
seminal
love
work.
I love his work too.
Yeah,
I would say because like my focus in is in the how they communicate their multilingual repertoire.
yeah,
So
no,
I would say
absolutely.
the core conceptual framework is the translingual identity as pedagogy.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. I understand. It's just I'm I think you've done a great job actually.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Yes.
coming and
No,
sharing your
my
thoughts.
pleasure. I really enjoyed. Um, it's appreciate that you guys
Thank you.
received me here this afternoon. Well, I have no further questions. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Tanchek.
Thank you very much for joining us and your valuable comments. So that's always nice to learn from our participants. And we still have a couple of minutes, maybe a little bit more than a couple of minutes. And remember, we have this open mic, and anybody who would like to reflect, suggest, comment, share personal stories. So please, we are here to support you in this, and we will be happy to learn more from you. But it's okay if you still need some more time. It's totally fine. And while we are,
Oh, sorry.
Ayako, please.
Maybe like just giving some time for the audience to process this information. But I don't know, like even like small stories, like how you enjoy maybe like I don't know, but I'm a big fan of Korean dramas, and how you enjoy watching those transnational like cultural artifacts, or like you're just sharing your traveling stories with your students. I believe that these personal small stories can create like translingual space within the classrooms. And if you're teaching like ESL, like this is something that I might want to encourage you to do tomorrow.
I have an observation. I don't know how much you know the laws here. I teach. I'm a retired full-time professor now. I teach at elementary ESS, special needs students, and but also we have EL students, because of the 700 students we have at this school, 313 are from overseas. English is not their first language. So the language proficiency is absolutely, they're considered pre-emergent. So, but do you know that in Arizona, it is against the law to use the first language in classroom? Are you aware of that, Ayako?
Sorry, I'm not like particularly let's just say like looking up this Arizona context, but I just heard about those unique geopolitical situation in Arizona.
Well, it's legislative more than political, right?
Mhm.
And that even goes against whatever research proves that actually the more a multilingual brain is a better brain, but still they still believe that you should force the English down their throat, and but that happens here in Arizona. So that's the law actually. And how do you overcome that in when those teachers students are learning Japanese, and but they're from different multilingual backgrounds? How do you resolve that issue? Are there any laws concerning that? Any legal aspects in Japan?
Oh, sorry, like what was the question again?
If there are any laws that regulate the usage of first language L1s in classrooms in Japan, or
No, it's not.
there's nothing. But here is like if the state walks into my room and I'm talking to my special needs student in either French or Italian or Portuguese or Spanish, I will lose my license. Did you know that? So it's kind of hard to the environments, the situations are a little different, I guess. And I'm not criticizing no one. I'm just saying that two different settings.
And yeah, so it's we are in a really like unique situation, but I still believe that like just performance of like teachers like translingual identities, or just sharing small stories in the classroom can make a like small change in language learners' life. But yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, sorry for taking all the time. Anna and Shui are there. They may have more questions for you. My apologies.
No, so we're always happy to learn from each other, and we have a very small and intimate group here today. But again, more people will be joining us online later. And please, all the participants, if you have any questions or comments, we would be very privileged to hear from you. Don't be shy.
The conversation just reminded me of a teaching dilemma I had when teaching my multilingual students. So I speak Chinese Mandarin. I've taught English in China, and I'm now teaching writing classes here in the States. And I'm mainly working with multilingual students who speak different languages. There was this one student who was also from China, and the student wanted to speak Mandarin with me, like in front of the whole class, because the student had some question. But I decided not to speak Mandarin with the student in class because there were other students who didn't understand the language at all. I didn't feel like um, signaling to my students that I speak the same language as this one student and I don't share the same language background as you guys. But it also made me wonder if I should actually provide the assistant when the student needs it. Because there was actually another student who wanted to, again, speak to me in Mandarin, but this was at a conference space. Like it was just me and the student. Um, I didn't speak Mandarin again, but in a second thought, I was wondering if it would be a better way to actually speak Mandarin with the student because what they really needed was to understand what they were supposed to do for the writing assignment instead of learning English per se, even though the language of instruction is English. This is something that I've been thinking. What I have been doing is like just speak English, but I wonder if it's a better idea to actually utilize the same language background that I share with some of my students. Now that I learned it's illegal for the students to speak their first language, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I think it's in public school context.
Okay.
It's in K-12, yeah. In
12
Arizona.
context, so maybe it's the higher education is like in a different, we're in a different space maybe. Yeah, sorry, I don't have the like immediate answer to your question, but yeah, I feel it. And I didn't have many students, but I think I had one student like who grew up in Japan and speaking in Japanese and who took my composition class. But I don't know, maybe he wasn't interested in talking with me, like either in English or Japanese. So I didn't have that dilemma myself. But yeah, this moral judgment is something that teachers always have. And as a like multilingual individual, actually, like it's your kind of choice when to perform this in a multilingual or like when to use what language in what context. And these are all important questions. And sorry, I don't have the immediate answer to this question, but these are the important questions to keep thinking about, like as a like multilingual educator, when to use what language repertoire with whom, in what context, in what space, in like whether in the classroom or in like individual conferencing space. And these are all important questions, I think.
So that's why we call it dilemma, right? So it's something to explore more and more. And thank you for bringing up these important questions. And we will continue exploring, thinking. And I think this is something that we have in mind as non-native speakers every time we teach, especially if it is not homogeneous environment, but when you have learners from around the world and there is only one or two students in the group that share the same language with you, like should you cross this border or should you hold? Okay, so that other students will not feel omitted and this student will not have privileged, right? Thank you for bringing this up. For everybody who are here today and who are going to who is going to watch us later. So first of all, thank you, Ayako. Now, everyone, I would really appreciate your feedback on this session. On your screen, you will see this QR code, and after completing a short survey, so you will have an opportunity to submit it and receive your certificate of participation. So if you are ready to do it right now, wonderful, or you can take the screenshot or just keep this link somewhere in your devices so that you can reflect later, but I encourage you to do this as soon as possible while their memories and emotions are fresh. So please take a screenshot or just scan the QR code, okay? And I will go to the next slide very quickly. Now we really have a couple of minutes left. So let's talk about how to get involved. AZTESOL offers volunteer leadership opportunities. You can serve on our government board. You can join various committees that we have, or you can just present at the conference about which I'm going to talk in a second. So your leadership is welcome, and please keep in touch with us, stay in touch with us, and we will be happy to have you in different roles, okay? And yeah, so here's some information. If you have any questions, suggestions, or you want to keep in touch with us, so please subscribe to our various media, and we will be happy to stay connected with you. Yeah, so please either again take a screenshot, and I also shared this information in the chat with us, with the audience. So please stay connected, okay, and be part of our vibrant community. And before we wrap up for today, I just want to give you a quick heads up. Our big AZTESOL conference is coming up in October. So this will be October the 16th and 17th in 2026. So it's plenty of time for us to prepare. However, not a lot of time for you to think about your sessions that you are going to participate in, right? And to prepare your submissions. So more details will be shared soon. So that's why please keep in touch with us and stay connected through our media. And we will be sharing more information on how to participate, how to contribute, and how to join us for this wonderful professional development opportunity. So stay tuned for the exciting event. With this, I would like to wrap things up, and thank you one more time, Ayako, arigato, for joining us today, for sharing your experience. Thank you for your questions, guys, and for your reflections. And I think that we are ready to call it a day for today. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, and Elena for leading this session.
Of course, our pleasure and privilege. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you.